Good evening. My guest tonight is the chairman of Ghana's biggest opposition party. He has a lot of experience in government. He's been in government for almost 30 years, served in various capacities. We thought tonight we'd have a chat with him and get a sense of the direction in which we're going and whether the National Democratic Congress is really ready to take up the reins of government. Dr. Kwabena Adjei, thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You've been busy in politics.
Yeah, sure.
Hasn't it taken its toll?
Well, I've been like this for a long time. It's a question of adaptation to situations.
You used to be minister, I think, for lands and natural resources, minister for I mean, quite a few ministries. You became also a majority leader in parliament and so on. You have been around quite a bit.
That's right.
What have you learned?
A whole
What is
lot.
the key thing? I mean, I know you've learned a lot, but what would you say?
The key thing I've learned is that if you want to lead people, your interpersonal relationship must be good. It must be excellent. Because
people must like you.
People must like you, and you must be seen to be liking people also.
So it doesn't matter to people if you are effective and efficient and all that. It's important to them that you like them.
You need to be
competent.
You need to be efficient. To some extent, you need to be resourceful too. But the most powerful influence in the political sphere is one of interpersonal relationship. Because after all, we talk about politics being numbers. And your attractiveness depends upon the extent to which you are able to interact with your people, irrespective of their differences in tribe, religion, socioeconomic standing, whoever. You must open yourself to them. They must feel free.
Yeah, that applies even to you as chairman of the party.
That's right.
Is it correct to say that the party, the National Democratic Congress, is in many ways like a government in waiting?
Yes, in all ways, not only in many ways.
What will it take for it to go into government?
Well, good organization on the ground and backed by some unity of purpose.
That's key, isn't it?
Yes,
because
of building trust and confidence in our supporters, our followers and field workers. You know, showing leadership by example. Visiting them all the time, be seen to be building a very strong and agile political party.
Is that what you're doing?
That's exactly what I'm doing.
They chose you to be chairman recently after having a chairman that was a strong, solid, well-known man. Why did they choose you?
I've interacted with people in various positions. I was a university lecturer. I have many of my students in parliament, in government, in finance, in business.
Your friends, you have many friends.
Friends, I have a lot of them. And then I have them in politics. You know, I knew a lot of our district chief executives because I interacted with them.
And these are the people that chose you?
That's right. Members of parliament who elected me to be their leader. And then colleague ministers who know who I am and how I relate to people. So it wasn't difficult at all. It really wasn't.
So I would imagine that it shouldn't be difficult also to bring the party together. I mean, there's quite a bit of, if you like, fractionism in the NDC. Now, hasn't there over the last year or so?
There used to be a lot of it. We never denied it. But that was a party and a different leadership.
What do you mean? Under chairman?
Yes, a different chairman. Right now that we haven't elected our flag bearer, I am both the chairman and the leader. But my leadership will end by December when we elect our flag bearer. You know, what I mean is that under a different chairman, we had problems. It may have been problems arising out of personality clashes.
So we are back to this
or differences. It
was the difference between, if you like, the chairman and the old president of the party.
That's right. That's right.
Because your party does have a difficulty, doesn't it? It has such a strong, charismatic man like J. Rawlings, no longer president, but still with great influence. How do you deal with that? You build it in and you get on with it, right?
It's not difficult.
You have a good relationship with Mr.
I have a very good relationship.
What does he like about you?
Oh, because I'm playing. I say it as it is. What I must say. And
but he's not. You're not some instrument of his, are you, sir?
oh, how can I be an instrument given my background? Anybody who thinks somebody of, you know, almost a professorial status, you know, cannot be himself is simply wrong.
The vice, what about talking about that, basically the ex-vice president, I mean, NDC's key candidate in the past, Dr. Atta Mills, you say that about professors not being, isn't it interesting that a man like that with such intellect and so on is perceived really as a puppet?
That is negative propaganda.
So it's not true, I'm saying.
It's not true. There is a technique in propaganda they call labeling.
Yes, they've sort of given a dog a bad name and they hang it.
That's right, that technique.
But
what I want to tell you is this. I would like to be constrained in saying what I'm saying because we have given chance for, you know, other people to contest. But that I will tell you what I know about him. Now, one, somebody with, you know, a law background, having taught in an academic institution.
This is Professor Atta Mills.
Atta Mills. Having been a top sports person, having been an expert in tax law.
He has all the credentials.
I mean, he's a very hard nut to crack.
I would not.
But the whole thing that Ghanaians don't know is that the man enacts his rules appropriately.
Why is he not winning? Twice he's run and lost. Can't be good for the party, can it?
There is nothing wrong with that.
Will
There have been examples all over the
like
world.
Abdoulaye Wade in Senegal.
That's right.
You want to wait for 40 years?
It can take you as the whole thing is persistence until the truth dawns on the electorate. You know, I don't see anything wrong with it, and I expect that you run alongside with others, and he's welcome. And I think he has
to vie for the candidacy.
That's right.
And if he loses the candidacy this
time,
it is
the delegates who choose whom they want.
Yeah.
And you can't say the thousands of delegates who come to choose him are wrong.
Does the party have other candidates that it is looking forward to next time round?
Oh yes.
I mean, we see
Dr. Eko Gabriel has come to declare his aspiration to our executive committee, National Executive Committee.
Edward
Annan has done the same. Alhaji Idris Umama has done the same. We are still waiting for the rest. We know people, you know, have been going round, and we've given them free chance. You know, fair playing. We have been encouraging our people, give them all the assistance.
Are there new faces?
They are likely to be.
This
week, we are going to announce the opening of our nominations, and then I think that it will be clearer to all of us.
Dr. Adjei, what is it about the National Democratic Congress that qualifies it to be an alternative government? To
be honest with you, we have been the alternatives all this time. In the first place, let me go back. We've been in government on 2 consecutive occasions. At least one. The last one, we didn't lose.
We didn't lose the election?
We didn't.
What is that supposed to mean? There is
there is a matter pending before the courts now.
That's a poor loser. I mean, we are into a government that's got 2 years to go, and you're saying you didn't win the last election.
It's not a question of being a poor loser.
What is it?
It must be on record.
That you did not lose.
Because there were so many things that happened. And this time around, we are going to show that we can monitor our polling stations, avoid rigging, avoid intimidation.
Isn't there an independent arbiter? That's not for you. There are people, when an election is conducted, I mean, there's an electoral commission, there are people that determine what's fair. How can one of the parties say, we are going to ensure that this is done?
There are 21,005
polling stations.
That's
fine.
How many are the electoral offices nationwide? You understand? So what really happens is that every political party participating in an election, has to present a polling agent. There are situations where political parties may not be funded enough, to provide those ones, the polling agents. And that is easy for the others.
So what do they do instead?
Oh, well, they just do rigging during elections, and they do rigging after elections.
So this time around, you're going to ensure...
This time around, we are going to ensure that every single polling station out of the 21,005 is manned by our men, trained.
It's not easy being so far away from my mother, but when she needed medical care, I was able to send money through Western Union to cover her costs. Soon, my mother was back to normal.
Working abroad means I'll miss my favorite nephew's birthday party, but at least I could transfer money to my sister to buy him an extra present for me.
Western Union Money Transfer.
This is worrying. Are there no rules? I mean, how many people can go to a polling station just to ensure that the elections are carried out fairly? I mean, anybody, I can decide to get 20 boys to come and stand there on my behalf. That is dangerous.
Have you gone to vote before?
I have. I certainly have.
You have?
Yes. Do you think it's okay to simply just send your people to the polling?
It's part of our electoral laws.
Is that you must do?
Every
Is there a limit to the number of people that can be there?
Yes.
So you will abide by that?
That's right, we will abide by that. We don't want groups of action troopers around this time around.
Does it occur, so if you lost the election the next time and your boys were there and all was done, you would be fine, as long as you...
We are not going,
you're not going to
lose
lose.
Out of the question. We are going to beat NPP
when you people take part in the contest, they either win or lose.
Yes, that's true.
But you are not going to lose.
And I choose that will win. Yeah. That's been very optimistic, isn't it? And I mean it. Yeah. If somebody chooses, to lose, well, that is his problem.
Why? Why are you so?
Because we have our strategies. Our people are committed. They want also to
You have
taste
no
power.
resources.
We don't.
In these parts of Africa, you require.
You're right. Resources, if you look at money, is the lifeblood of politics.
I would imagine. Do you have
money? Understand? But we use the intellect to churn out money. You just wait and see. When I started my elections, I didn't have, for the campaign, for the parliament, chairmanship, I don't think I had 4 million cedis.
And yet they chose you as the chairman.
The opportunities are there, you know. Very simple ways of doing things. Let them feel that they belong. You know, the party is theirs. You know, that sort of thing. And unleash some enthusiasm, confidence, optimism with regard to the group goals, and they'll deliver. That doesn't mean that we'll not be able to give them logistics or some financial resources, but we'll not be able to match the MPP. You know, but what we would enjoy most, you know, is to come from these ashes we find ourselves in.
To come back to
this
power.
Situation in which we...
Is to come back to power.
And then win victory, come back to power.
What would you do different? If let's
a whole lot of things different. We are a social democratic party.
Meaning what? Social democracy?
Meaning that, you know, our system tolerates private, if you like, enterprise. It encourages, you know, private...
it tolerates private enterprise.
Yes. And it gives chance for everybody to be within a free enterprise economy, but intervenes with social action to ensure that, you know, the marginalized, the disadvantaged, the poor are protected. That's all it is.
It's good.
So what we want to do, we want to make sure, you know, that the welfare of all, you know, is protected. We do not want to promote a property-owning democracy by which a small section of liberal Democrats acquire all the property. No. We want to encourage small enterprises, people to own property.
But rich people in America, rich people have jobs and create avenues for loads of other don't they?
They do. But what we are saying is that the harshness of the market forces are known by almost every economy.
You don't want to leave it to market forces.
No.
Is that why you will tolerate private sector development?
We definitely, in a social democratic
That's
environment.
one big difference, isn't it?
That is
this government
yes.
promotes the private sector.
That's right.
It says it's key, but you will tolerate it.
That is, the private sector will still be there as an engine of growth. Free enterprise will be encouraged.
The state will have a bigger role?
No, the state will not. It's not just like state intervention.
Good. Yeah.
But for example, the way the state could mobilize taxes, use some form of tax system and other means of fund mobilization.
Take more from rich people and less from poor people.
Without making the rich poorer, at the expense of the poor. In other words, you want to promote an egalitarian society, whereby, everybody at least lives above the poverty line.
How will we create wealth? I like to talk about that. You see, often we talk about distributing something we don't even have to start with. How will you develop this country? This country has still such basic, fundamental challenges.
Yes.
I'm interested. What will you do?
No, we have the conception that we have to look inward.
We have to look inward.
To things that our own people do. Definitely, when you go around the streets in the market, you see what our people do best. There is no reason why you should go out and mimic the economies of the West, or even some economy, in a neighborhood country. You've got to study the behavior, the attitudes, the society of your people, because they form the fundamentals, of business and of other things, of politics, of success. So we have to look into things that we do much better. In economics theory, they will talk about, the comparative, advantages or the comparative dynamics of state. Well, it is to some extent. But then, for example, I don't see why, when we have a disadvantage in producing a certain crop, we'll go out of our way to encourage its production when we can import it cheaply and do something better. You
Are you thinking of a particular crop, sir?
No, I'm not thinking of a particular crop.
This is hypothetical?
It's hypothetical. But then when we come to crops, I know that a lot of crops will do well here. I was in agriculture for a long time. And what I got to know is that the human factors militating against agriculture are more than anybody appreciates.
So do we have a comparative advantage in agriculture?
No, the thing is not, to be, using any term whatsoever, but to look at the situation properly. As I was telling you, the situation, one needn't be deterministic. One must see possibilities.
But it's bleak.
Sometimes it's not. It is. You see, when you want to do agriculture, you must ensure that you have the proper land. You have labor in place. You have management in place. You have the inputs. And
we are doing agriculture without all of this. You see why it's bleak?
But
we are doing agriculture without all of this.
The agriculture that goes on is, largely, subsistence farming, about 60–70%. And I'm afraid that that which I began, our government called it the nucleus outgrower scheme. And that was where we thought we could pool our resources together.
That's been
and
abandoned.
Then supervise. It's been abandoned.
Why?
I don't know.
Why do you think the governments
that's a problem?
And dump
because I'll tell you one thing. When we were trying to formulate that program, the World Bank and then the FAO were discouraging us for obvious reasons, because we were going to make breakthrough. And within a very short time, we were really producing quantities of food and people were engaged, well employed. And
the World Bank didn't want us to do this?
They didn't. They do not always operate if they operate at your interest, then it will be about 10% of the time.
The World Bank?
The World Bank.
And
the World Bank, the IMF, the other organizations.
$800 billion a year,
they take it back.
They take it back.
Look, you are in agriculture, and they spend much of the time coming on missions, taking you out of the offices, not going to the farm, doing consultancy work in hotels, buying, luxury vehicles for their use and so forth. So at the end of the day, you don't get one quarter of the funds invested in the project that had been planned. That's what happened. That's what has been happening all the time. And there is need for a change. You see, for example, I know that Malaysia told them in their face, we will put our own local consultants. We'll do things our own way.
The
Or
Malaysians
take your
told
money.
the World Bank.
That's right.
And
Originally.
that's why you think
Then
Malaysia has made progress.
They came up. Now, apart from that, anytime they came here, they picked our brains to write their consultancy, reports. And after that, they go back and recruit the very people who are manning our institutions and give them consultancy jobs outside. That was something we resisted. We resisted strongly.
It's not easy being so far away from my mother, but when she needed medical care, I was able to send money through Western Union to cover her costs. Soon, my mother was back to normal.
Working abroad means I'll miss my favorite nephew's birthday party. But at least I could transfer money to my sister to buy him an extra present for me.
Western Union Money Transfer.
Is this government doing a good job of that, or is allowing them to do?
Well, I don't know whether the government really understands how these multinational institutions are going around Africans, for that matter.
Is it conspiracy theory, or is it not?
Well, I wouldn't say it's conspiracy. Well, you can say it's a conspiracy.
But it's legitimate.
But this is what I've seen, because I went
and all these people
I went
are exploiting
through,
us.
I went through structural adjustment. I went through what do you call economic recovery program, structural adjustment, SAP 1, SAP 2, and so forth and so on. And I studied this. Sometimes they will write a report for you to implement, right? They don't operationalize it well. You leave the place, the other person who is appointed to that place cannot operationalize it.
That's a shame, isn't it, sir?
That has been our woe.
But we have
and
responsibility
this is
as
why
well,
it is important for any new government to link up with members of the old government, no matter how much they
and get on with it. So you can
and
pass
get
on
on.
experiences.
You can pass on experience.
But as
this
usual,
doesn't
we are
happen.
personalizing
That's right.
everything
That's
like
right.
we always do.
And I hope that when my government comes to power,
You'll pass
that will cease. Because we'll be wasting our time.
You're not
Every 4 years in your lifetime as a young man makes you 4 years older, isn't it? It's simple arithmetic. And we cannot afford to waste the time of, the present generation and the future generation. We have to make sure that we move along.
You're still passionate, sir?
Well, I have to be passionate, because I feel that this country ought to have moved faster to a pedestal
So you're not
than
happy?
this.
You're not happy the
I'm
way it's
not.
going?
I'm not. I really am not. We've wasted resources. We've wasted resources because of who we are, how we perceive the world, and we perceive ourselves.
Who are we? How are we?
We are Africans.
What's wrong with Africans?
We have our own behavior patterns, our value systems, our belief
Can
systems.
it change? We're part of a global village, aren't we, sir?
The unfortunate thing is that education is meant to change it.
And it's not.
But there is a repetitive compulsion on the part of even the educated one to go back to their traditional roots.
Wow.
Yeah. They are sometimes even worse than the illiterate ones. And that is a problem. We can come and sit like, I'm talking to you, you can understand me, any white man can understand me. But when it comes to doing, we are empty. Not until we begin to address that problem. Not until we begin to dig into the roots, of this problem and find the causal elements and address those elements, we'll have problems.
Are we on track? Are we making
We don't seem to be on track because, attitude change, political socialization, economic socialization must begin from the classroom, right from the preschool time. We are not
So we
doing
should get education right.
We should go
We've
back.
got to get
As I
education
said,
right. We've got to get agriculture right. We've got to get industry
no,
right.
if you get education right, they study agriculture, they study business, they study all kinds of things. You understand? But mere accumulation of knowledge related to a particular field doesn't really help one. You understand what I mean?
Absolutely.
Now, you must come with a set of values, a set of principles, and a set of predisposition, to do the things that you've learned, at school, to be able to vary it to your situation. There is a need for us to begin massive attitude change, massive educational
We talk
content.
about it all the time. They've even got a
We
ministry now for national orientation.
Yes, that is, I don't know how far that will go, because you can't orient.
But it's a good, because you can't, sorry, I'm sorry, sir.
You can't orient the people with ossified attitudes and values from the top. You can't do that. I've said we have to go back to basics, the way we do it, because even traditional education, we get it from the home, right from infancy. That's the way I look at it.
Thank you for coming, sir.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Politician must